Most people are kind of stupid and ignorant, you know? And like, I blame them for that a little bit, but also to a large extent, I understand that, you know, not if everyone was as tuned into politics as the people who are like on politics Twitter or whatever, life in general would be insufferable, you know? To some extent, we need that buffer. And to those people, support for Elon usually has more to do with cultural signifiers than it does with any specific things that he's done or that he's said. You know, for the most part, when people decide who they like, at first they make an intuitive assessment of who they find trustworthy, usually based on cultural proximity or social signifiers, and then they take them at their word based on how much they find them trustworthy. You know, you vibe with a person and then you like judge what they say or what they don't say. This is the reason why most of the time arguments between right and left-leaning people go over each other's heads. Now, I think for the most part, arguments made by right-leaning people are dog shit and not worth listening to anyway, so I'll just focus on arguments made by left-leaning people. You can be left-leaning and make a perfectly good argument that is factually correct, backed up by data, accessible by nonpartisan sources, and is beneficial to literally everyone. A great example being climate change, right? I promise you, climate change is not benefiting anyone on Earth. 0 people are benefiting from it. It is bad for everyone. But a lot of people who deny climate change will reflexively doubt the stuff that they're told because the people telling them those objectively true facts are coming from social or cultural groups that they have been taught to distrust. Oh, that person has purple hair. Oh, that person is an egghead scientist. Oh, that person is a liberal. It's not about what they say, it's about who they are. And a lot of the support for Elon has grown in conjunction with the increasing prominence of lonely, socially maligned, socially inexperienced, like loser young men who don't have many job prospects and just kind of like sit at home gaming. You know, like Elon is crazy popular with that like incel light crowd, not just the crazy would-be school shooters, but people who, you know, think it's awesome and rad to finally have like a gamer up there, you know, like the previous billionaires, they were all like stock brokers and eggheads, and they're all business people in suits. But Elon's like an epic meme man. He has the memes, you know, he's got the memes. He plays the games. He's like us. So trust for Elon is a vibes thing more so than it is people like assessing the value of his statements bit by bit. Yeah, he's our guy. I'm just trying to explain why this matters. For most people, it's about the vibe first, you know? It's about establishing the trust, establishing the rapport, and after that, people will trust what you say. It's the reason why the podcast that has probably convinced the most people of political positions they now hold ever in human history, probably the Joe Rogan Experience. Even though Joe Rogan fans will usually be the first to admit Joe Rogan himself is not that bright. Like Joe Rogan himself, like most Joe Rogan fans would tell you, yeah, Joe Rogan's not that smart. Yeah, Joe Rogan just, you know, he's like a monkey man, you know? Like, oh yeah, Joe Rogan, he's like a goofball. He just brings people on and goes like, or agrees with them or whatever. And yet, I bet you that Joe Rogan has had more of an effect convincing other people of their political positions than almost any media figure in history. And it's because he's really good at setting a vibe that people trust. You all understand what I'm talking about, right? I feel like I'm speaking to an empty room, but there's actually like thousands of people watching. So like you had to, I'm looking at the YouTube chat, but look, you know, I'm used to the chat up here. You get me, right? First and foremost, yeah, it's about the vibes. Elon can say stupid, objectively retarded shit as much as he wants. And to people who have already decided that his vibes are good, they won't care. Yeah, you're right, liked Rogan for that vibe until he went straight up stupid. Keep in mind, this isn't just a median voter thing. Everyone is like this to some extent, you know? The trustworthiness of a person is, for the most part, determined by the extent to which you look at them and see similarities between yourself and them, things you relate to, things you admire, not like a synthesized sort of amalgamation of all their positions and relative correctness. You know, that's not, for the most part, people don't make determinations like that. You know, a lot of you like what I say first and foremost because you think that I'm relatable or funny or whatever, or at least that's how you get your foot in the door. the positions come after that. That's why being funny is so important if you're trying to convince people of something. You know, it disarms people's like initial distrust. Hugely important. Despite how intelligent and informative they often are, you know, a scientist who just calmly and uncharismatically expresses the results of the data that they've arrived at via research will almost never convince people, even though they are the best possible source to get that kind of information from. You all get me. You know who hasn't posted at all lately? Vivek Ramaswamy. Ever since Vivek did that giant rambling post on how H-1B visas are good because Americans need to spend less time having fun and more time like working in child slave mines or something, he has just been gone. What happened to Doge, man? Was this literally like one of his last posts? Did he stop after this? He hasn't posted since January 3rd? Oh no, he posted a reply on January 5th. Just some like just some little, he's gone, man. Losing the good graces. This is the person that Elon is intent to work with in Doge. They're gonna quietly replace him, like how JD Vance hasn't been heard from. Same hole they threw Vance into. Yeah, I wonder, like, the whole point of this project is to remind the MAGA retards, you are the biggest fools in the world. You are being duped. Your country, your people, your race, if you give a shit about that, all of it is being robbed by the world's stupidest, greediest men, and you are okay with all of it as long as those men then tell you that the real, like, culprits of your deprivation are brown people. The poorest brown people in the world are actually the reason why you have no money or something like that. Even though the same like material worsening of conditions has struck every part of the United States, whether or not there are immigrants there, whether or not there are black and brown people there, for some reason, somehow, it's whatever. It's some meaningless cultural signifier as opposed to the very obvious siphoning of wealth going up to the top. And like, you have to keep pointing at this and going, when are you going to fucking learn, dude? Hey, MAGA bros, do you think Elon's like crashing out, insane lashing out at people who used to support him, and pathological lying about gaming might mean he might have lied about other stuff? Like, do you think there's a slight possibility that the wealthiest man in the world dedicating years of his life to consistently lying about something that doesn't matter might indicate he's lied about things that actually do matter too? It's not like a small lie. It's like theater that he's kept up for years. You think it might possibly indicate like something about his trustworthiness, largely? I don't know.